Hi, I'm Art Kaplan. I run the Division of Medical Ethics at NYU's Grossman School of Medicine. A lot of controversy broke out recently in New York City about a plan to deal with the mentally ill who are out on the streets homeless. The mayor of the city, Eric Adams, announced that he was going to permit and indeed encourage the police to round up people who are out on the streets with mental illness, bring them into hospitals, New York City hospitals, and ask for their evaluation as to whether they seem competent and able to make decisions about staying out on the streets at all. The idea is to get people with severe mental illness off the streets and into care. The current laws don't permit retaining people with mental illness who seem to be a threat to themselves or others more than 48 hours unless they're basically deemed a threat that way. Otherwise, they get kicked back out on the streets. I really thought that Adams' idea was overdue and applaud what he's trying to do. But there were many critics who stepped forward and said, this is a violation of the civil rights of people, particularly homeless people who are vulnerable, and the police should not be involved, and the mayor is wrong to do this. So their objection primarily was you can't just force somebody against their will into a hospital for a psychiatric evaluation and potentially being kept there for treatment, that's just providing, if you will, care without permission or consent, and using police power to drag somebody in against their will. Well, I think there's a confusion here. We're not trying to round up the homeless. Homeless people, I think, deserve homes, and that's certainly a housing policy question, and it's one that many cities have not fixed in America, and that's deeply regrettable. But what the mayor focused on, and what I believe is correct, is a small percentage of those homeless people who are out there mentally ill, severely mentally ill, incompetent. We know who they are. We see them when we go into cities, talking to themselves, yelling, ill-clothed, clearly in trouble, not able to fend for themselves. These are people who get preyed upon, who get attacked, robbed, raped. They are people who often suffer health problems because they're out there sleeping without adequate protection. They don't know enough how to keep themselves warm in those parts of the country that have bitter winters. And I think it's overdue to go out there and find those people, get them to a hospital where psychiatric or psychological expertise can be applied, and say, are they mentally ill to the point of incompetence? If they are, then I say, pull them off the streets, get them some care. Don't let them stay out in the wild, out in the urban environment to be harmed and suffer from the elements. Don't let them rot with their rights on. Sure, no one likes the police coming and dragging someone into a hospital against their will, but what the mayor was talking about, and what I believe is justified, is severe mentally ill people getting some help. That strikes me as humane. That strikes me as appropriate. That strikes me as doing the right thing for vulnerable people who aren't sitting around saying, well, I'd rather be out here than in a shelter, or I'd rather be out here because I prefer to live the way I want to live. These are people with schizophrenia, other severe forms of mental illness that we're not paying attention to, and we're just leaving them out there to fend as best they can. That strikes me as wrong. I support what the mayor is doing in New York. I hope other cities follow and start to say, the two kinds of people who are homeless, a group that for one reason or another finds themselves homeless and cities aren't doing what they can to get them homes, and they don't want to be out there, but there they are. And the mentally ill who we deinstitutionalized, didn't give proper follow-up care to, threw out onto the streets, and who are suffering greatly and probably have no idea where they are or whether they even want to be there because they're so severely mentally ill. They deserve better. I'm Art Kaplan at the Division of Medical Ethics at NYU's Grossman School of Medicine. Thank you for watching.